Hello, artists. This year, the Lunar New Year zodiac animal is the ox, and we are going to make this very cute lantern with an ox on front. So, the things that you're going to need today for your project are a piece of red paper, a piece of yellow paper, scissors, m- a marker, pencil, and glue and a piece of white paper, your watercolors, and a brush and some water. So we want to get all of those materials together before we start. First thing we're going to do is we are going to watercolor the spots on our brown and white oxen. So you're going to be using the white paper first. So the rest of this can go over to the side. And we're just going to use this white paper and our watercolors. So we want to use the brown that's in our pan. So make sure that you are getting your watercolor nice and wet first. So add quite a bit of water to your watercolor. And then we're just going to make random brown spots on our paper. And they don't have to have any particular shape because the spots on an ox would be irregular, which means that they wouldn't be even like a perfect circle. You might be lucky and find a spot that's a circle, but for the most of the time, they're going to be irregular or an organic shape. And we're going to make a whole bunch of these on our paper. And then we're going to wet our brush, put it in the watercolor again, and we're going to gently tap the watercolor all over our paper to make really small speckly spots on our oxen. So this goes everywhere. You're probably not going to use all of the paper here. So if you only use uh, just a good portion of it, you don't have to do the whole paper. So here we go. So here are all my spots, my little spots. I'm going to wash my brush and put my watercolors away. That's all we need them for today. If you, like me, has gotten some watercolor on your working surface, you can always take a paper towel and wipe that down before you start on your next part of the project. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it aside and let it dry while we're working on the lantern portion of our project. So I'm going to take the red paper and I'm going to fold it in half. It's going to be important that we remember where the folded edge is because we don't want to cut into that. I am going to take my pencil and I'm going to measure with my fingers about where 3 fingers are at the top and the bottom of my paper. And that's going to give me a guideline for the size of my lantern. And then I'm just going to make a really big half circle all the way around, like so. I'll do that in marker so that you can see it a little easier on the video. So this is my circle, just a half circle. All right. Now I need to cut that out. It's going to be very important that you do not cut the full side because otherwise you'll only get 2 half circles. You want 1 whole circle. So we're going to cut around our line that we made and keep this red paper over to the side. The scrap paper, you may use a little piece of that later. All right, when I open it up, now I have a full circle for my lantern. Now the lantern is collapsible. And so on a real lantern, on the inside, you would have these very, very thin pieces of bamboo that are glued to the paper of the lantern. And as if you collapse the lantern, these little pieces of bamboo hold your lantern all together. So we're going to draw the lines of the bamboo. So with your marker, you're just going to draw the lines going across your lantern like so. And you want to make your lines curve because your lantern body is a curved surface. So here are my curved lines. The next thing I want to do is I want to make the gold decorations that go at the top and the bottom of my lantern and also the tassel. So that is just using your piece of yellow paper, and you just need to cut across a piece about an inch wide. So just a long piece like this. And if you cut it in half and put it on the top and the bottom of your lantern, you'll see that that works pretty well for the top and the bottom. So I'm going to use my glue stick, and I'm just going to put some glue right at the very top of the lantern and add this to it. And at the very bottom of the lantern. Okay. Now I want to make the tassel that's on my lantern. This was a little crooked, so I'm just going to lift it up real quick and see if I can get it to go a little straighter. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to once again cut just a strip going across. And once again, I'm going to fold it. But this time, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut small little tassel like things at the bottom here, all the way across. Here they are, pretty little tassels. And because it's double paper, I'm going to put a little bit of glue up here at the top and then fold it over. And I'm going to fold it over not exactly straight, but slightly crooked. And the reason why I did that is so that most of the tassels will show a little bit better. Now I'm going to put some glue right here on top, and I'm going to glue it right at the bottom of my lantern. There's that. Okay. Now I want to draw some red decorations at the top of my lantern. So all that is just two lines with my marker, two parallel lines. 1, 2, and then the same thing up here. 1 and 2. So some little red decorations at the top. Now, the last thing I want to do with this part of the lantern is to make a little hole. And for this, you can actually put a little string in it and you can hang your lantern up through that little hole. So remember I said to save your scrap paper left over from cutting your lantern out. So I'm just going to cut a small little rectangle here. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And this time I'm going to cut the fold. Now, when we cut the lantern out, we did not cut the fold. But this time I am going to cut the fold. And I'm just going to cut a half circle. If you want to draw that with your pencil first, you can, but you don't have to. And here you go. Here's the little part up here that's going to hold up your lantern. So once again, I'm going to put some glue and just glue it right to the middle at the top. That way I can hang my lantern up as a decoration in my home. All right, now we're going to get to the ox part. So let's talk about the parts that make up our ox. We have a head, we have a body, and 4 legs, and a tail. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out the body, and I'm going to use the paper that we just watercolored. Now the body starts off as a rectangle. So I'm going to cut a piece of this paper in just a rectangle. There it is. But that doesn't really look like an oxen's body. The body is curved. So I need to start curving my shape too. So I'm going to curve the top of the paper, and then I'm going to curve the bottom of the paper. Okay, that looks better, but I also want the curve of the ox's body. It kind of goes down and then up. So I'm going to cut that now. I'm going to go here, curve my scissors, and go up a little bit. So it's a shape like this. So you can see this is the curve, and then it goes in and up. And that is closer to what the oxen's body really looks like. So the other thing I need to do is put it on my paper and see if it fits, if it's a good size. And I'm looking at this, and I think I need to take a little bit more off of this side. So while you're doing this, you don't want to glue it right away. You wanna look at it and see if it fits, because remember, you have to have a head and 4 legs. So this looks better. This looks like it's going to fit better. So I'm just gonna leave it there for now. The next thing I wanna do is make my oxen's head. So I'm going to cut another smaller rectangle out of my watercolored paper. So here's my rectangle for my head. This time, I'm going to fold it in half, because the head is symmetrical. It's the same on both sides. So to do that, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw half of the oxen head. So here's the top of the head, and then I'm going to draw some horns. And then I'm going to come down, and I'm going to go out just a little bit and then make a long nose. So here is half of my oxen's head. And then I'm going to cut this out. Remember, this time don't cut the fold. That's the fold. And I'm going to cut out around the lines I made. Remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. So here's my head, and I'm going to put it on my body. And it's like, do I think that's a good size? That's a pretty good size. So I'm going to leave that. Now I need 4 legs. And if you look at my oxen's legs, I made them 2 different ways. The legs in the front are just rectangles, but the legs in the back are kind of like triangles. And that's because the back legs of this oxen are a little bit thicker than the front legs. So once again, I'm going to take my watercolor paper, and I'm going to cut a skinny rectangle, and this skinny rectangle will become my front legs. I'll cut one here and one here. Now I can tell already that my legs are going to be way too long. Oh my gosh. It goes practically off of my oxen. So I'm just going to cut them a little bit at the top. So they're both the same size, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off the top. All right. Let's take a look at that and see how that works. I can push them up under there. Okay. That's not too bad. Now I want to make the back legs of my oxen. And once again, I'm going to cut a rectangle out of my paper. And I'm going to fold it in half again because the legs are symmetrical. And this time, I'm going to start at the top and taper down almost to a triangle. Can you see that? And then cut this here. So they kind of look like almost the shape of a Christmas tree, right? So here are my back legs, and I want to test them out. Are they a good size? Mm, they might be a little bit fat. So I am going to shave off some of the paper on the sides. That's a little better. Now I'm going to put them underneath my oxen before I glue anything. I'm not going to glue this yet. I'm checking it out. How does that look? That looks pretty good. And last, I need a tail. So I once again am going to use a piece of my watercolor paper, make a skinny rectangle, and then just like we made the fringe at the bottom of our lantern, we're going to do the same thing for the tail. So there's the fringe. And I'm going to put it there before I glue it to see if I like that. And I think I do. I think I like what we've done so far. So now it's time to glue all the pieces to my oxen. So where the head goes, I'm going to put a little spot of glue. And I can make the head go straight up. I can make it tilt this way. I can make it tilt this way. I think I'm going to make it tilt slightly this way. Okay. Now I need to glue the legs on. So I'm going to lift the body up and I'm going to take my glue stick. And because these are kind of skinny, I don't want to put the whole glue stick down, especially since I'm working over my lantern. So I'm actually just going to use the edge of my glue stick and I'm just going to glue it in a small place. Luckily, when you go to glue this, you still have some time before it dries where you can move these pieces around. So I've glued my tail and my two legs. I'm going to put the body back on top and I'm going to move this leg over here and this leg over here before they stick completely. So here's my two front legs. This one's a little longer, so I'm going to move it up a little bit. Okay, now I can press. And when you want to glue, you don't want to hit it. That really doesn't make it glue. You want to just press it. And now I'm going to do my two back legs. Here's one. Here's two. And do they even out with these legs? Not quite. So I'm just going to move them up a little bit. And now they're more even. So press. And then I'm going to glue my tail on. All right, there's my ox. Now I'm going to glue my ox to my lantern. To do that, once again, I'm just going to use the edge of my glue stick instead of trying to just draw a lot of glue on here. I'm going to move my lantern and I'm going to use it where the horns are and then across the head and around the side and down each leg, across the tummy, down each leg, across the back, and on that tail, and up again, and one stripe down the middle. So you don't have to use a ton of glue. Here's your lantern. So we're going to put the oxen right in the middle. There you go. All right. Now, to finish it off, you need to take your marker and make your oxen's face. So I'm drawing where the horns are, and then I'm drawing a big round eye, and then I'm drawing another eye, coloring it in, and I'm going to draw a big nose, coloring it in, and my mouth. Now, if you want to, you can also take your marker and you can outline the head just a little bit so that it shows a little better against the oxen's body, but that's up to you. You can also, if you want to, draw a slight triangle line down each leg because oxen have hooves. So these are the hooves of your oxen. And there you have it, a fun, easy lantern for Lunar New Year. You can hang this up in your room and have a great little decoration for Lunar New Year. That's it for today, artists. I hope you enjoy this project.